understood. Read my fucking rings, nigga, this shit here overstood. Why? Cause Oak Clip, nigga, that's my hood.
67 turn to 35. See, when the hate don't work, they start telling lies. Shoot that bitch between the eyes, yeah, it's open fire. Boys, D-I-R-T-Y, D-I-R-T-Y. R.I.P. C shrugs, the whole city mission. Screaming, fuck council, nigga, and bucking the system. This bitch remind me being the hood with my dirty pistol. Yellow Frank out, we got a free shaking with this one. Yeah, 15 years, how I'm still in the mix. This example, you ain't gotta get killed in the bricks. Niggas screaming internet when I was made for this shit. I was born in South Dallas, but I'm a dying Oak Clip, bitch.
Oak Clip, yeah, that's my hood. Yeah, put it in his face, get that shit understood. Read my fucking rings, nigga, this shit here overstood. Why? Cause Oak Clip, nigga, that's my hood. O-A-K-C-L-I-F-F. Every nigga with me still. All shooters just like Steph. We don't count below the belt. Never call a nigga for help. Cooking dope just like a chef. At the shells, you make a left. I hear they talking, but they speed racing. 35 and 67, that's all on me, baby. Tell them fuck the ground, keep it in the streets, baby. I go clip with them choppers, Dirty D, baby. Said better get your bread better, had 100 bowls in the attic. I had corner kush, had soft and hard, I was serving the whole damn dally. Jumped off the porch, I was selling grounds, had work before I had a daddy. I was fucking bitches riding 26 and we can get it, nigga, what's happening? Oak Clip, that's my hood. Put it in his face, get that shit understood. Read my fucking rings, nigga, this shit here overstood. Why? Cause Oak Clip, nigga, that's my hood.
It's me, hot boy star at the OCT. I was right off keys, getting them balls from Paul Peace. Going hard from Big Juvie, all on you and catch your place on feet. I ain't gon' lie, Big Los was that nigga before he got popped. $1 million inside of the freezer when Tank got shot. $1 million bond, I made that bitch, the feds was outside. Can't even run, it's so good business, mind your business when you get left slung. Gotta go harder, harder though harder. Better not honey, get some more bomber. Just came home, hit the ground running. Why his face long, he ain't getting no money, he ain't getting no money cause they took the buddy. I'm going Freddy, I'm going petty, I'm going Freddy times Eddie, I'm flexing. Bad guy.
Oak Clip, that's my hood. Put it in his face, get that shit understood. Read my fucking rings, nigga, this shit here overstood. Why? Cause Oak Clip, nigga, that's my hood.
Reppin' the Cliff Data, they chuckin' H. Gotta know Holland Hills with me. They always hollin' Hills trip. I'm a big player, this real pimpin'. Lil' Kevin told me finger still itch, he cookin' up them real dishes. I'm in 42 on my Hay Street. Free my cousin Boots out the feds, nigga. Red bean gon' spot his heart, leave him dead like body art. Shoot him arm, leg, head, now the nigga missing body parts. Better ask around about the yellow, I'm really pressure, a big ol' step. Born in my rail on Dulles Street, we jumped out the porch with Holland Hill players.
Oak Clip, that's my hood. Put it in his face, get that shit understood. Read my fucking rings, nigga, this shit here overstood. Why? Cause Oak Clip, nigga, that's my hood.
When you actin' lead better, might as well just call Smirk. Catch me in the Bentley, stuck on Dilly, nigga cooking work. 1,000 for a zip, 32 for a painter perk. Your nigga died, we fuck around and put your homie on the shirt. Got 80,000 on my shirt. 30 for a block of work, ain't been up on that rap shit. I've been trying to rap some shirts. Rose gold, no blue smirk. I can still front your work. Talking out the sides of your neck. Fuck around and get you hurt.
Oak Clip, that's my hood. Put it in his face, get that shit understood. Read my fucking rings, nigga, this shit here overstood. Why? Cause Oak Clip, nigga, that's my hood. Oak Clip, that's my hood. Put it in his face, get that shit understood. Read my fucking rings, nigga, this shit here overstood. Why? Cause Oak Clip, nigga, that's my hood.
Okay, you.
Man, we in the goddamn building, nigga. Big business, nigga. You know what's going on, nigga. Hello, Mellow is on, nigga.
Okay. I see we back at it again. How y'all doing? I didn't expect y'all to get here so soon, but I guess it is a little bit after 8 o'clock, huh? So welcome to the Black Podcast Show. If this your first time rocking with me, then just know every Monday at 8 o'clock, you get to check out the Black Podcast Show, the only Black podcast online, hosted by me, your girl Auchante. And this show is exclusively available on Facebook Live as of right now. So if you're watching this, just know you can't catch this nowhere else. You can't catch this on your Fire Stick. You can't get this on Amazon Prime, Netflix. It's not enough money in the world for you to buy somewhere to watch this. But you can check it out right here on my platform, which is my Facebook page. So I got quite a few things that I want to talk to y'all about today. One of the more important things being about the case of Kendrick Johnson, the mysterious murder of Kendrick Johnson. I'm also going to do some Am I the Asshole question and answer and help some folks out in that regard. But before I get to all that, I'm going to give y'all some motivation. So on the Black Podcast Show, you actually get multiple podcasts in one. So my thing was I kept looking for like a podcast where I could find motivation, where I could find true crime, where I could hear cultural events, all that in one, or at least all that from a black perspective. And it's not really a whole lot of it out there besides the cultural stuff, the current event stuff rather. So I decided I would do it myself. You know what they say, if you want something done right, get out there and do it yourself. So that's what this is, the Black Podcast Show. So I got some motivation for y'all today, and I can honestly say I felt this on my spirit. Because I was thinking to myself, it's season 2, episode 12 of the Black Podcast Show. What can I possibly say to motivate people? We in year 2 of the pandemic. I mean, things are kind of looking better, but they kind of aren't. So, but a lot of us have gone back to normal life. You know what I mean? So, what I want to say is, for the motivation, stop being a little bitch. You know what I'm saying? Stop being a little bitch. And I want y'all to take this with y'all. Stop being so sensitive. Stop being such a crybaby. Stop being so emotional. And it's a difference between being emotional and passionate. You know what I'm saying? So, what's important is grow up and learn how to handle your emotions and your feelings. There's nothing wrong with feeling a way. There's nothing wrong with feeling an emotion intensely. What can be wrong is the way that your actions follow you feeling that emotion. You know what I mean? Stop weaponizing your emotions and your mental health. So, I can honestly say, have you ever encountered or been that person that when something go wrong, you want to, I'm about to kill myself. And I'm sure if you haven't ever been that person, you've seen this person on Facebook where they, you know what, wouldn't nobody care if I was dead, so fuck it. Or, whatever the case is. And the thing is this, like, that's it's so immature. Not only immature, but it's very, very toxic for you to not get your way and tell people that you're going to kill yourself. Not that you actually even plan on killing yourself, but you're using that as a method to get your way. That's some corny shit, and it's not as effective as you think it is. Even if it works once, even if it works twice, it's not actually working. Because you're not getting this person to do something on their own merit or because they actually want to. You're literally weaponizing your life. You're saying, I'm going to harm myself if you don't do this. And that's fucked up. So, if that's you, stop being a little bitch. Because that's what you're being. You like, it's toxic and it makes you look weak as fuck. But I mean, that's not the only thing I'm talking about. But I mean, if you get in your feelings just quickly, if you get angry fast, if you get sad fast, if you just get upset fast, you have to learn how to handle your emotions like a productive adult moving through society. You know what I'm saying? You have to act like you know how to talk to people. You have to act like you know how to treat people. You know how to deal with people. You have to act like you're part of a bigger society. It's not just you out here. People are not going to just act how you want them to act. The world doesn't work like that. But your maturity, your success, and how far you go is going to be determined on your attitude, how you handle things, and especially how you handle your emotions. And as y'all know, if you are a regular viewer, I don't speak from no kind of high horse or nothing like that. I'm not speaking from a place of, oh, I know everything and I've never done nothing, so I'm telling you how to go about things. No, I'm speaking from a place of I've been this person, or I've been emotional, I've been too sensitive, and I've allowed it to affect me in negative ways. I've allowed it to affect my money because I was too sensitive. I remember one time, matter of fact, when I was about maybe 21, I was at this job and I was doing pretty good. I had got promoted at the job. I was actually working at the airport. I had got promoted from temporary to permanent, and pretty much everybody liked me. You know, it was a fun job. It was cool. And so at one point, I was working with some older ladies at the ticket counter, and one of the older ladies told one of my supervisors that she thought that I should be promoted to supervisor of the ticket counter, or lead of the ticket counter, some kind of higher position than what I was. And this man literally laughed directly in my face as if it was the funniest thing he had ever heard. And when I tell y'all that he had me so fucked up that I literally quit the job. Like a few days later, I quit the whole fucking job. I'm like, nigga, you don't see I'm in here busting my ass. You don't see I'm in here helping these ladies work the computer. You don't see I'm in here working hard, so fuck you. He had me fucked up. If that don't sound like some dumbass shit to you, then you still in a real fucked up toxic place, because that was some stupid shit. And I can't even blame it on just being 21. Like, I was just in my feelings. You know what I'm saying? Like, I let this person, and who knows, he could have been joking. He could have been playing. Whatever the case was, what the response should have been, even if I felt away, was to be, okay, obviously I know that I can excel at this job because I've already been promoted from one thing to the next, so I have to just continue to prove myself. Nah, that wasn't my response. My response was, fuck y'all. You know what I'm saying? And it messed me up, obviously, financially at that time. But I see people doing stuff like that constantly. You have to get out of your feelings, especially when you being in your feelings ain't affecting nobody but you. I quit my job and thought it was gonna hurt. And I mean, I didn't think it was gonna hurt nobody else. My thought process was just, he got me fucked up. But I quit my job. What would have affected him if I thought I was doing something would have been for me to get the promotion still. But I quit my job. That man probably don't even remember me to this day. You know what I'm saying? He probably didn't even realize why I quit then. It didn't matter. So I just say that to say, you know, stop being a little bitch. Grow up. Learn how to handle your feelings and your emotions. If somebody makes you mad, guess what? So what? Deal with it. Unless they are like genuinely disrespecting you in a way that requires an action from you. If people make you mad, that could just be how they are. They might not be trying to make you mad. And that's another thing that we have to realize. People aren't always intentionally trying to make you feel a way or make you react a way, which nobody can make you react any type of way. But people aren't always trying to make you feel a way. We have to stop making everything about us. We live in a very narcissistic society. Have you ever thought that sometimes people just being them, and that might annoy you, but that's your problem? I realized that. And I said to myself, wow, a lot of people get on my nerves. But I don't think they be trying to. They not. They're just being themselves. I got to stop being a little bitch and letting that get me in my feelings. As an adult, we have to deal with shit that we don't always want to deal with on a every single day basis. We just have to deal with it. We have to find ways to deal with it. We have to be determined to deal with what we got to deal with to get to where we're trying to go. That don't mean accept disrespect. That don't mean teach yourself that you're not worthy of certain things. But it just means at a point or another, you have to you have to pick your battles, rather. So that's the motivation for this week. I want you to take it with you. You know, keep that close to your heart and just remember that. Stop being a little bitch. Grow up, learn how to handle your feelings and emotions. Stop weaponizing your emotions, mental health, and your life. And, stop doing shit that makes you look weak as fuck. So, anyway, it's time to move on to the true crime segment. And like I said, the true crime story that I had, not the story, the case that I had for y'all today is super important. It was just recently opened back up. This event actually occurred in 2013, so it's been cold for about 7-8 years, but the parents of the young man in this case have never, ever, ever stopped. They've never given up faith, hope that there will be a break in the case. So a lot of y'all have heard about this case, and it's going to be the case of KENDRICK Johnson. So a few weeks ago, I spoke about my young cousin that passed away. That was actually killed at the age of 17. Rest in peace, Danye. Long live D. Benz. You know what I'm saying? And it's pretty hard to accept someone dying at such a young age. Because there's something about someone dying, losing their life before they even reach adulthood. It kind of feels like they were cheated, honestly. It feels like they didn't get a fair shot at the whole life thing. You know, I don't have children yet, but I can only imagine the intense pain that a parent feels when the child that they created and or raised passes away. But for your child not to even reach adulthood, not to have a fair chance at making something of themselves or even a fair shot at screwing up, I think it must feel unfair, to say the least. Because no matter the circumstances, it's got to be like, why my kid? They didn't deserve this. And they don't. No kid does. And in the case I'm covering today, KENDRICK Johnson's parents are convinced that their son suffered from foul play and murder at the hands of still unknown assailants. So, back on January 11th, 2013, KENDRICK's body was found wrapped inside of a mat in his school's gymnasium. KENDRICK went to school and was raised in Valdosta, Georgia. KENDRICK's parents were actually contacted immediately. His mother had already been up to the school because KENDRICK hadn't been home the night before, which wasn't common for him. KENDRICK's parents state constantly, and they have since the day that this happened, that KENDRICK was a really good kid. They state that KENDRICK he never gave them trouble, he had never been in trouble, and that he pretty much was a kid that anybody would want to have. KENDRICK's dad states that any parent would want a son like KENDRICK. However, when his mother tried to file a missing persons report the night before, she was basically told that she would have to wait and that KENDRICK was probably just out with the girl. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case. And around 10 a.m. on January 11th, some other students actually found KENDRICK's body inside the mats as they were getting ready for gym class. So I can imagine that was probably traumatic for those students as well, to just be thinking that they're starting a regular day and to see, they ended up seeing his socks sticking out the top of the mat. So they had went over there to see what it was, and they actually initially thought that somebody had just got stuck in there. And so of course, eventually they realized that somebody was in there and that they were dead. So they called a teacher. The teacher called the paramedics. But one thing that I found very concerning, and that a lot of people and a lot of the stories that I've read found concerning, besides the fact that if you look at this mat, this is not like the mats that I imagined initially when I heard about this story. When I first heard about this story, I imagined those big, thick mats that from back in the day, the really thick, I guess, gymnastics mats that had the plastic pretty much around them. That's what I imagined. These are actually more of a styrofoam. So can we get, yeah. So these are more of a styrofoam, and what I think, even if Kendrick had somehow managed to squeeze through there, so that hole looks a lot bigger than some of the other mats that I saw from other pictures where they were rolled a lot tighter. So even if Kendrick had managed to squeeze through there, I believe that he would have been strong enough to sway the mat forward or backwards and knock it over on its side. He wouldn't have hung upside down for almost 24 hours straight. So basically, when the police arrived and determined that Kendrick was dead, a few days later, on January 14th, they ruled the death accidental. And they stated that the death was caused by positional asphyxiation. And what asphyxiation is basically choking. It's basically a restriction to your airways, throat restriction. So they're stating that he suffocated because of the position he was in, because he was hanging upside down. So if you see the way that you saw in that mat, you saw that his feet were sticking out. That was supposedly he was upside down in the mat, and he just suffocated to death, which would make sense, but I'm just not understanding why Kendrick would have been in the mat upside down. I don't believe that he would have tried to. So let me explain. The police are stating that Kendrick was reaching into one of the mats that was already standing against the wall for his gym shoes, and he fell inside. So at the Valdosta High School in Georgia that Kendrick attended, the students have to pay for their gym lockers. So to avoid paying for it, like most teenagers would want to do, Kendrick would just put his gym shoes inside of one of the mats. And I guess he would probably just wear his shorts, his basketball shorts or whatever, under his jeans. And a lot of young men do that. So on this particular day, the police say that he was trying to reach inside of the mat and pull his shoes out for gym class. Now, that doesn't make sense to me. So like I stated, on other pictures, the mats are rolled a lot tighter. So that one looked really wide, but it's because his body was inside of it. The mats were rolled a lot tighter, so he wouldn't have been able to just squeeze in there. And even if he did, Kendrick, what I didn't state was that Kendrick was a 3-sport athlete. So Kendrick played basketball, football, and he ran track. So I state that to say that Kendrick was a strong young man. He wasn't scrawny or weak by any means. He may have been skinny or thin, but he was strong. He played 3 sports. So it's no reason that Kendrick wouldn't have been able to rock himself to the point where he could lay the mat down, and that way he wouldn't be upside down. I just don't believe that he would have went out like that. But that's what the police are stating. They're stating that it was an unfortunate situation, but nonetheless an accidental death. So for several months following the case, and still to this day, Kendrick's family vehemently rejects this theory altogether. They had their own autopsy performed twice. They first had the body exhumed in June of 2013, about 6 months after the body was initially found. And what their autopsy determined was that Kendrick actually died from blunt force trauma to the neck and brainstem. And their coroner, or their autopsy performer, I'm not sure what the name of that would be, determined that Kendrick's death was not accidental and that it was a homicide. So one thing also that I need to go back to is that After the police arrived and determined that Kendrick was dead at the school, it was another 6 hours before the coroner was called. From what I understand, this is a huge issue because anything can happen to taint the body within those 6 hours. So after the autopsy, well, before the autopsy, the first gentleman that performed that autopsy even said that he wasn't comfortable quite just saying what it was because the body shouldn't have been just pretty much laying around for 6 hours. And so let me also just state that when the police officers and the detectives came to this crime scene, none of them were wearing, and there's pictures of this too that I wasn't able to retrieve, but none of them were wearing the little blue slips that they're supposed to wear to cover their shoes when they're at a crime scene. So police officers and detectives have specifically shoe and boot covers that they're supposed to wear at crime scenes so they don't bring dirt from the outside onto the crime scene and taint any potential evidence. But none of those officers were wearing those covers. So the whole crime scene was tainted from jump. And I just think that this is not my first time hearing or seeing of a black body just being left out for hours at a crime scene. And that's never made sense to me, because I would think that as soon as the police get to a crime scene and realize that someone is either injured to the point of needing medical care or actually dead, I would imagine that within minutes they're calling an ambulance or a coroner. Why do y'all somehow forget that when it's black bodies? Why is it that y'all are comfortable leaving someone's dead body just laying around for hours at a time, where y'all just walk back and forth past it like it's a fucking piece of trash on the ground? And I just believe that that's because that's how they see us. Like trash on the ground. Like, oh, we got to deal with another one of these. I believe they walked into the situation like, some dumb kid. I believe that because looking at that mat once again, it doesn't to me say that Kendrick would have squeezed in there reaching for his shoe, and then there's actually a picture of the shoe. So the shoe that Kendrick was supposedly reaching for was actually found on top of his blood. Now, mind you, there was no blood on the shoe. So this is a picture literally of the shoe that it was right up under the mat. As you can see, there's no blood on the shoe that would have been dripping from Kendrick's body. This is Kendrick's shoe. He's been seen wearing in the other pictures. So it doesn't make sense to me that there's no blood on the shoe. And it could be a coincidence, but it's just too many coincidences. It doesn't make sense. You can see that the blood was dripping onto the ground. How is it not on the shoe? And it just makes me think that somebody put the shoe there. And just real quick, let's go back to the mat. If you see the way his shoes are inside the mat with him, that's another thing that should have been very, very, very concerning. So let me just state that the kids that found Kendrick's body inside of the mat said that his feet were sticking out. So I'm guessing that they took this picture once the mat was on the side. I don't know at what point they would have taken this picture. But if Kendrick's shoes are behind his legs like that, somebody put that there. Because why would he get in the mat and then take his shoes off? None of it makes sense. None of it makes sense. It just doesn't. Because look at both of his shoes clearly positioned behind his legs like that, as if they were placed there. Not as if, what reason would Kendrick have had to, he wouldn't have been able to. Why would he take off his shoes, then jump in the mat trying to get the other shoe? It doesn't make sense to me. Of course, I'm not a detective. I'm not the lead investigator of anything, but this doesn't make sense to me. And then, like I said, his family has had their own autopsy performed twice. And it's both times has stated blunt force trauma to the neck and brainstem, which I believe is like the back of the head somewhere. So I believe that we need to get to the bottom of things. The Georgia Police Department has stated that they are satisfied with the results. They pretty much said what they said. And like I said, when it comes to black bodies, the investigation is minimal. The care, the regard is pretty much not there. So at this point, after 8 years, as of 2 weeks ago, the case was opened back up. And because the case was opened back up, because supposedly they have gotten a confession, a recorded confession. So Kendrick's family was actually contacted by someone who said they had something that would be beneficial to them, to the case of Kendrick. So they paid $1,000 for this recording, and I'm not quite sure who they got the recording from, but in the recording, the person, a Caucasian male, supposedly, states that he did that, and he wishes he wouldn't have, and that Kendrick didn't deserve it. But he said he wished he wouldn't have, and that they were going to find out, and that Kendrick didn't deserve that shit. So they haven't actually officially released the recording, but that's what they said is on the recording. So they said it would take, law enforcement, said that it would take about 60 days to identify the actual voice of the person and to verify that it's not just some kind of sick hoax. Because for some reason, in the past, there have been hoaxes from people who just kind of want attention or just want to be involved. I don't know what the purpose of somebody playing some kind of sick joke would be, but it has occurred in the past. So as of right now, I think a lot of us specifically, and a lot of people that are interested in true crime as well, are very anxious to see what's going to be said. So back in the day, supposedly Kendrick had some kind of scruffle with another gentleman that went to his school. And that gentleman, him and Kendrick had actually had a fight because Kendrick slept with his girlfriend, supposedly. But it's also been said that he and Kendrick had actually reconciled their differences and had even worked together on a project since the fight. So, of course, once something like this occurs, you're going to look for anyone that might have motive or anyone that might have been considered an enemy of Kendrick's. But we don't know if that's the case because that gentleman actually had an alibi. He was on the wrestling team, and the bus had actually left at 12:30, and Kendrick was last seen on camera at school at 1 o'clock, at like 1:09 or something like that. So I don't think he would have done it. But also, there is a huge chunk of surveillance footage that's missing. So Kendrick was found January 11th. The school didn't release the surveillance footage until September. And that's another thing that really, really, really pisses me off because that's 1 day too many. It's 9 months later, but it's 1 day too many. Why wasn't that surveillance requested the very next day? They were so quick to say, oh, it was just an accident. Why is it that when a black life is taken, it's okay for it to be an accident? You know what I mean? Just going back to the trial that's going on right now, not even to take the attention off from Kendrick Johnson's case, but the fact that Derek Chauvin is on trial right now for killing George Floyd, and his defense is pretty much that it was an accident. No, you don't get to accidentally take nobody's life. It's not okay. It don't work like that. You don't get to accidentally take nobody's life. Not like that. There are circumstances where your conscience is just going to have to eat you up for the rest of your life. But not like that. Not when it could have been avoided. And in this situation, Y'all so quick to say he caused his own death accidentally when there's so much evidence to state otherwise. Why wouldn't they immediately ask for the surveillance footage to verify that Kendrick was reaching inside of that mat and fell in there? Even though that's still that theory just doesn't make sense. Even if he did fit into, even if he was able to squeeze through that hole and fit into the mat is styrofoam. Like, look at this mat. I believe that Kendrick would have been able to rock his body back and forth and knock the mat over. So, like I said, as of right now, the case has been reopened as of 2 weeks ago, March 2021. So, it's been 8 years since Kendrick passed away, and his family deserves some type of closure. And if he was truly murdered, which is what I believe, what a lot of people believe, well, honestly, I'm not sure. I'm going to say this. There is somewhere where there's a small possibility that Kendrick was reaching for his shoe and just fell in and suffocated. But the rest of me believes that there was foul play afoot. And I just would like for Kendrick's family to receive justice. It's not going to bring him back. That's for sure. Unfortunately, it's not going to bring him back. But I do think that they deserve to know what happened to their son, to their brother, to their cousin. His parents deserve for sure to know what happened to him. His mom and dad have not stopped to this day, going hard, protesting, putting the information out there. So I respect them a lot for that. And as y'all know, it's been other cases that I covered where the parent was the only one that believed that something else happened. And it turned out it could be 20 years later. It was 20 years later. And the one I did a couple weeks ago about Jerry Michael Williams. 20 years his mom had to keep telling people, no, my son did not get ate by alligators. Even though the quote-unquote evidence suggested otherwise. But it was so obvious, it was right there. So I wish justice for this family. I wish for the truth to just come out. Honestly, that's all I want, is for the truth to come out in this case. So I would love to hear y'all thoughts, opinions. What do y'all think? After everything I just told y'all, do y'all believe that Kendrick fell into that mat and just asphyxiated, suffocated to death from being upside down and, all the blood rushing to his head? And actually, if you go on Google and type in Kendrick Johnson crime scene, you'll be able to see some of the pictures. And they were a little bit too gruesome for me, for this show. I didn't want to post them. And the family actually put them out there, so they don't mind. They want people to see. But I just found it was a little bit much. So I want to know what y'all think. I want y'all to drop in the comments. Do y'all think that Kendrick Johnson was murdered? Or do you think it was just a horrible, horrible accidental death? So let me know. As of now, we're going to go ahead and move on to the next segment. Something a little bit more lighthearted. Hey, if you're watching this and you like what I'm doing, you like what I'm talking about, you're interested in this case, please like and share right now. Go ahead and like and share the Black Podcast Show so I can get more viewers. So maybe somebody can see this and want to sponsor me. My dream would be for y'all to share this and Oprah or Tyler Perry see it and give me a whole bunch of money. It's possible, but it takes for you to comment and share. And then once I get on Oprah, all you got to do is say, hey, Shantae, that was me that was sharing you back in the day that got you hooked up with Oprah. And I'm going to be like, okay, bet. And I'm going to hit your hand, with a little something. But I got to get the M's first. That's all I'm saying. I got to get it in my hand first so I could transfer it to your hand. You get what I'm saying? All right, bet. So next segment is called the TAE Talk. And in the TAE Talk, I go ahead and answer some of the am I the asshole questions. So I don't know if y'all are familiar with Am I the Asshole. It's a forum on Reddit where people just ask crazy ass questions or just funny questions or just advice questions. So I'm going to jump right into it. It's been a few weeks since I've done this, but let's do it. The first one I'm going to get into, and hopefully we can get the question on the screen. If not, you'll just have to listen to my beautiful voice read it to you. And this question is, I believe, from a parent. She says, am I the asshole for not allowing my daughter to sleep in the same bed as her boyfriend? There it is. All right. She says, my daughter and her boyfriend celebrated Easter with us. Me, my husband, and our son/her brother. I asked her boyfriend to stay in our guest room as they aren't married yet, and my husband and I believe it's inappropriate to share a bed before marriage. Neither her or her boyfriend said anything at the time, but later it came up that they don't visit more often because we won't allow them to sleep together. I think this is ridiculous. After all, it's our house and our rules. My daughter agreed, but then said she'd still prefer to sleep with her boyfriend and thinks it's our rule is what's actually ridiculous. She then tried to tell us that they still respect our rule. I pointed out that she was clearly lying about that, since she was withholding her very presence from her own family. I said she was punishing us for having a very reasonable rule, and that she obviously doesn't truly respect our house, our rules. She changed the subject then. At the end of their trip, I asked when the next we'll see them again, and was told maybe the 4th of July, unless they make plans with her boyfriend's family first. When I pointed out that she was still trying to punish us, because who waits 3 months between visits to their parents? She says, my husband feels that I'm right and our daughter is being unspeakably rude. But my son thinks that we're in the wrong and that it's not a big deal. She's 25 and he's 26. They've been together for 3 years and living together for 2. I didn't include this because the rule isn't based on their ages or if they're cohabitating, so I don't think it's important. They will be allowed to share a bed under our roof once they're married and not a second sooner. Some people seem to think that we're upset that she's choosing to stay in a hotel room instead of with us. This is not the case. She's choosing to avoid seeing us at all instead of spending time with her family. Okay. She had a couple edits, but I'm going to just go ahead and answer the initial question. Are you the asshole? I'm not sure. I don't think you're the asshole for having the rule. I think that you're kind of the asshole for being so... what is the word I'm looking for? I think that your daughter is telling you that she doesn't really like the rule and that she doesn't come see you that much because she doesn't want to sleep in a separate room as her boyfriend. And I totally understand that. But you think that since she's not coming as much, she must not respect you. And that doesn't make sense to me because she's telling you her not respecting the rule or respecting your house would be her coming to see you and saying, no, my boyfriend's going to sleep with me. I'm coming still, but we're not going to respect the fact that you don't want us to sleep in the same room. He's going to still sleep with me, or we're going to wait till you guys go to sleep, and then I'll have him sneak in my room. She's not saying that. Bad, y'all. Y'all know I be getting thirsty. All right. So she's not saying that she doesn't, she does. You said that she doesn't respect the rule, but I disagree. She does. She came, they didn't even say anything to you about it, and they slept in separate rooms. Now, what I'm thinking is that at her boyfriend's parents' house, they're allowed to sleep in the same room. I guess I just feel like if they already live together and they've been living together for 2 years, do you think that they're going to have sex at your house? I think that they would have more respect for you than to have sex, but maybe not. I don't know. I'm not going to say you're the asshole. I feel like you're kind of the asshole for pushing the issue. If you want there to be a different result or you want her to come see you more, then either you'll have to bend your rule or you'll have to find another way to compromise. And that might be saying, I'll help you pay for a hotel when you guys come. Or that might just be saying, We'll just have to talk on the phone, or we'll just have to FaceTime. Can she sacrifice spending the night with sleeping with her boyfriend for a couple nights? Sure. But could you bend your rule and let her sleep with her boyfriend? Sure. So neither one of you guys want to sacrifice. I'm assuming that this lady must be a Christian. You know what? I'm going to call you Martha. You're giving me real Martha vibes. I don't know why, but I believe, lady, I believe that your name is Martha, so I'm going to call you Martha. Martha, I also believe that you're a Christian, and I believe that that's the reason why you have this rule, that you don't believe in shacking up, or you don't believe in it, allowing them to sin in your home, because obviously they already living together, but you don't want them to sin in your home. You don't allow the sin to occur within your dwelling, and that's totally fine. Like you said, your house, your rules. But if she's saying, okay, cool, I don't want to come to your house that much then, why can't you understand that? It's like you refuse to kind of understand where she's coming from. And I guess, the thing is, once you get older, you forget what it was like when you was younger. So, Martha, you've been married for obviously probably at least 25 years or 20 years if this is your daughter by your husband that you was talking about. So you forgot what it was like to kind of be not sneaking around with your boyfriend, but you forgot what it was like when you and your husband wasn't you and your husband, when y'all was still dating. And maybe your mom had that rule and you totally understood it. She's not. That's not her. She'd rather sleep with her boyfriend than come see you and have to sleep in separate rooms like she's still in high school. So, are you the asshole? Kinda, but I see where you're coming from. I'll give you that. I blame religion because I know that you want to spend time with your daughter, but you don't want her to sin under your roof. And shacking up is technically a sin. But what if they're not having sex? Like, is sleeping in the same bed a sin? Is sleeping in the same bed as someone else, is that a sin? Like, why don't you just tell her, I don't want y'all to have sex in my house? I don't know. I think I just know a lot of families that are like this, that have this going on. So I think it's hard for me to condemn you, Martha. But I just think you're being an asshole by... And then your husband, his little messy ass, talking about she's being incredibly rude. Your son, the only one that's kind of like, well, I don't see what the big deal is. But that's probably because he's trying to set up so he can get some pussy in the house when he get a little bit older. You didn't mention how old he was, or I think you said he was 20. I don't know, but Martha, I think just loosen up the reins or just try to find a compromise. All right, I got one more Am I the Asshole? And then I got one quick topic I'm going to touch on. And I'm going to let y'all get up out of here. I'm going to get up out of here. All right, one more Am I the Asshole? And this one I thought was kind of funny, but also kind of concerning. Am I the asshole for telling my mom's husband he needs therapy when he tried to guilt me into letting him walk me down the aisle? My mom married her husband, James, 3 years ago. I am a 25-year-old female and was not living with my mom at the time, nor were we in the same state. So I haven't really interacted with him a lot. I got engaged during lockdown last year. We are planning to get married when everything is safe again. I asked my mom if she would walk with me down the aisle. She said yes. Everything was good. Then James approached me about 2 months ago saying he would like to walk me down the aisle. That he knows he can't replace my dad, but he loves me and my mom and would love to fill the father of the bride role so I can have someone in it. I told him my mom was filling the parent of the bride role, and that made me happy. He pushed a little, told me it made more sense for him to do it. I said no. My mom told me he had just wanted to make the suggestion because he felt maybe I would prefer it. I didn't want to fight, so I left it alone. Then he came to me again. He talked about how he lost both his girls, his wife and daughters died almost 20 years ago, and how much it would mean to him to be accepted into that role and would give him the chance to do that with another daughter. He told me even if I didn't want it, would I do that for him so that he would have some healing and a chance to be in that role with someone. I said no again, and he told me I must be very cold to know what it's like to lose a father, to do that to someone who lost both his children and is reaching out and offering to do it for you. I told him maybe he needs therapy if it's so hard and he's so caught up in the loss of them that he can't see me as my own person and as someone who would want my remaining parent to walk me and fill that role. He was offended that I would make that suggestion. My mom bent over apologizing after she heard what happened. I guess she hadn't known the whole thing from before. He's still saying, he's still, I want to say salty, but he's still offended and thinks I overstepped. Did I? Am I the asshole? And before anyone asks, my fiance and I are not paying for the wedding ourselves. My fiance and I are paying for the wedding ourselves. He is not contributing to anything. Let me first and foremost say this is probably the first am I the asshole that I can say with complete confidence. No, absolutely not. You are not the asshole. And as soon as you said my mom married James, I knew he was finna be a fucking asshole. Like, come on, James. Every James you know is like an asshole. People named James are like, oh my God, they are the people who don't smell their own shit. So let me just state, no, you're not the asshole. This guy is weird as fuck. You don't even know him like that. He thinks that just because he's married to your mom, that he's entitled to walk you down the aisle. You know what I feel like happened? I feel like he heard that you were getting married, and he started thinking in his mind, oh, maybe I should, I wonder would she want me to walk her down the aisle? And then the more he thought about it, the more he saw himself doing it. And the more he thought about it, the more he thought about how much he would love to have that experience because of what happened to him. And I get it, but he got it set in his mind that this is what was going to happen. And that's not what you wanted. So, James, you are a fucking asshole. And young lady, I'm going to call you Mia, because you seem like a nice young, I like Mia's. Mia, no, you're not an asshole. You didn't do anything wrong. You certainly didn't overstep a damn thing. James is the one who overstepped, and your mama kind of overstepped too by even allowing him to contact you and come at you like that. Like, if you asked your mom to do it, it's because that's who you wanted to do it. If you would have and James is so like up his own ass, he don't even get that if you wanted him to do it, you would have simply asked him to do it. Or you would have simply asked your mom, did she think it was appropriate or would he want to? But the fact that you didn't ask him at all or suggest this at all, and he is like pushing the issue, no, Mia, you are not an asshole at all. You and your fiance, I wish y'all the best. I wish y'all a lifetime of happiness, and y'all need to stay the fuck away from James. I don't even know if James should come to the wedding at this point, because he sounds kind of crazy. He sounds kind of, I don't even know what word I'm looking for, but he just seems like a psychopath, like a stalker kind of. I know it hasn't got to that point, but he just seemed like he the kind of person that it would get to that point. Because why would you get to talking about, oh, you know what it's like to lose a father, and I know what it's like to lose a daughter, so you must be cold-hearted if you don't want me to walk you down the aisle. Bitch, I don't even know you like that. Yes, I know that, but I don't know you. Like, whew, I'm sorry. It's just something about that. Them James people, Jameses are almost as bad as Shirls with an S. Y'all know I don't like Shirls with an S. One day I'm going to come in here and give y'all the names of untrustworthy people. Because it's a lot of situations that could be avoided just by you meet somebody, find out their name. You know what? I can't do it. I can't do it. Cheryl, C or S? S, get the fuck out of here. That's how you have to talk to them. Get the fuck out of my face. Just like that lady I covered a couple weeks ago, the Demon of Detroit, Mitchell. Like Michelle, but Mitchell. Like, I could have saw this. I could have saw what she did coming a mile away, you know. But no, but I didn't know about that name. So real quick, Yeah, last thing, Mia, you're not the asshole. It's James. Real quick, I got 3 minutes left. I'm going to say this. When you go into business for yourself, hold on, because I want to say this correctly, because I want y'all to receive it. Good customer service is very hard to find nowadays. And I'm going to say that it wasn't as bad before Corona, but ever since Corona, y'all done just said, fuck it. I'm going to just blame everything on coronavirus. I'm going to just treat people shitty and because I can blame it on Corona. No. And it's even worse when we talking about an entrepreneur. I get that you might be starting your business with just a few or even just you. But if you can't be bothered with taking a customer service class before you start your business, you're doing yourself a disservice. And you're going to lose money like that. Because you treat customers rude, you talk to customers in a disrespectful manner, you never know who that customer is or what they was trying to do for you. Me personally, I look for small businesses to work with. I look for people that's entrepreneurs so I can go buy some clothes from or go support somehow. But when I see you got a nasty attitude, because I promote your shit all day like it's my shit. But once I see you got a nasty ass attitude, or once I see the work ain't quite what I thought it was, or once I see the edibles ain't hitting as hard as you say they was, I'm not doing it no more. I'm just not. Like, I'm legit that person that's going to be, as soon as somebody, call so-and-so. Oh, hold on, I got their number. Hold on, here go their Facebook page. Here go everything they do. But sometimes you fuck yourself off from that because you got a nasty attitude or you just don't know how to talk to people. Like, just because we both black doesn't give you the right, or just because I'm black, matter of fact, doesn't give you the right to speak to me in an unprofessional manner when we're conducting business. You get what I'm saying? Unless we have built that rapport, don't talk to me in fucking slang just because I'm black. If we conducting business, speak to me professionally. And if I'm speaking to you professionally and asking you questions or asking you for tasks that are typical of a business transaction and you get mad, I bet you that'll be the last time I ever shop with you. And I bet you I won't promote your shit ever. And that's fine if you don't care, but you're not going to get very far with that type of attitude. So if you call yourself an entrepreneur or a small business owner or whatever you call yourself, make customer service your number one priority. Because that's going to have you in the game for the long haul. You don't want to just make a whole bunch of money real quick and then just quit. No, you want to keep making a whole bunch of money. You want to make a whole bunch of money and then maybe you don't make quite so much money. Then you make a whole bunch of money again. But because you got great customer service, because you're a decent person, people want to keep coming back to you. You know, I just want to throw that out there. If you need some tips on customer service, let me know. I've been commended for my amazing customer service at just about every job I've been at. So, I got you. But as of now, it's time for me to go ahead and call this one a night. The Black Podcast Show. I'll be back at it again next Monday, 8 o'clock, right here. And if you liked what I was talking about, go ahead and hit the reaction button. Go ahead and share this for me. Go ahead and tell a friend. And if you know anybody in the DFW area, any rappers, singers, other podcast hosts, anybody that just like to talk, fuck it. Tell them about me and refer them my way, and I'll get them on the show. We'll do an interview. We'll talk. We'll have some fun. All right, it's the Black Podcast Show. See you next week.
All shooters just like Steph. We don't count below the belt. Never call a nigga for help. Cooking dope just like a chef. At the shells, you make a left. I heard they talking, but they speed racing. 35 and 67, that's all me, baby. Tell them fuck the ground. Keep it in the streets, baby. I go clip with them choppers. Dirty D, baby.